The DRZ400, a very capable, relatively lightweight, great handling, and fun adventure bike. Hi guys, I'm Justin with Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and this is my new DRZ400 adventure bike build. All right, so several years ago, I did a DRZ400 adventure bike build similar to this, and I really enjoyed that bike. I had a lot of fun on it. The last few years I've been riding different adventure bikes, and I was excited to get another DRZ400. A buddy of mine hooked me up with this. This is a 2002, so they really haven't changed much over the last 20 years. This thing's over 20 years old, pretty much the same as a new one. It had low miles on it, and I was excited to do another adventure bike build on this. I wanted to do this one a little bit different than the last one, as my tastes have changed a little bit. So in this video, I want to show you all the things I've done to this bike to make it an awesome adventure bike. Some of the things are going to be the same as my last video, but a lot of things are different. To start off, because this bike is over 20 years old and has been sitting in a garage for over 10 years, there's a lot of things I had to do to it just to get it running again. Again, it had low miles, but you know, when bikes sit, seals start leaking. I had to replace fork seals, water pump seal, water pump gasket, air filter. I recently just put on a new X-ring chain because the O-rings in the old chain were rotted out. But otherwise, you know, these bikes are very reliable. With a little bit of TLC, they make great adventure bikes. I'm going to break this bike build down into 4 categories: performance, protection, comfort, and storage. So let's start out with performance. There's really not a lot that I've done to this bike for performance as far as aftermarket accessories. One of the most important things you can do for the DRZ400, I learned on my last one that they get horrible gas mileage at high RPM in stock form. So the first thing you want to do is what they call the 3x3 mod, where you open up the top of the airbox by cutting a 3x3 hole. Now with that, the most important thing you can do is getting this thing jetted right. So I installed a JD jet kit. I learned on my last DRZ400 and DR650 that JD just does a really good job with their jet kits. Sure, you can go in and change the pilot jet, main jet, adjust the needle yourself on the stock stuff, but JD does a really good job at fine-tuning the needle, and I think that's where the magic in their jet kit is. So immediately, the first thing I did was make sure the airbox was cut open, installed my JD jet kit. The bike runs awesome. I get killer gas mileage. I'm getting over 60 miles per gallon. And to go along with that, I have an IMS tank. Now this is the 4-gallon tank from IMS. I had this tank on my last bike. I really like it because it's really comfortable on the knees. It's nice and narrow. The thing I don't like about it is on the radiator scoops, the gas kind of hangs down pretty low. You're not going to be able to get that up into the petcock. So I haven't run out of gas yet, but I don't know how much of that gas is going to get left behind in the tank when I start running out. Another option would be the Acerbis 3.7-gallon tank. It sits higher, all the gas is going to make it to the petcock, but it is a little bit wider. But that's a great option too. Other than that, I really haven't done a lot of performance things to this bike, with the exception of the tires. I have the Tusk D-Sport tires front and rear on this thing. They're a great dual sport tire. They definitely lean more toward the off-road side of things, and that's where I spend most of my time. And I want a tire that's going to hook up good in the dirt, something that's not going to scare me on the front end, washing out or anything like that. So I really like the D-Sport tires. Moving on to protection, I want to show you a few items that I have from Tusk. First of all is a skid plate. It's critical to have a good skid plate on your bike. I always put one of these on. The last thing you want is a broken case out in the middle of nowhere. So this skid plate is pretty cool. We actually designed this in-house and build it in our Utah facility. It's 3/16-inch aluminum, very tough skid plate, really good coverage. Connected to that, I have a brake saver. So it's a little cable that connects to my skid plate and runs to my brake pedal. That's going to prevent any kind of brush, branches, rocks, whatever, hitting my brake pedal or getting in between my case and my brake pedal and tearing it off. I've seen it happen a lot of times. Those things are a lifesaver. They just prevent that stuff from happening. Then I put these case guards over the clutch cover and magneto cover. All they are is really thin but stiff stamped aluminum pieces that fit right over the cover and protect the cover from being broken. The DRZ is known for, tipping over, having the brake pedal hit the case and breaking it. So that just prevents that. They're really easy to install. They just silicone on and they're really lightweight. So it's not a big deal to put them on. And finally, I have the D-Flex Pro handguards. Wraparound handguards are a must for me on my adventure bikes. These offer really good protection from wind, brush, everything, and they're really tough. So if I tip the bike over or something, it's not likely I'm going to break a lever. There's just really good protection with these handguards. Moving on to comfort, the first thing I want to talk about is my Seat Concepts Comfort XL seat. That's the first thing I got to put on one of these DRZs. The stock seat that I have here is extremely thin. The nice thing about the Seat Concept seat is it's really wide in the back. So when you're sitting down on long rides, there's just a lot more surface area for your butt and legs, and it's really going to save your backside. Another thing that's really unique is it's narrow in the front. So when your legs are down, you got to stand up, or you're stopping and got to put your legs down, or even standing, riding through aggressive terrain, the seat's really comfortable just like the stock. But again, when you're sitting down on those long rides, this thing is going to save your bacon. Next up for me has got to be the foot pegs. The stock pegs are really narrow, and if you stand up a lot, you're going to start feeling that through your boot. So I've got these pegs on. They're a lot wider. They have really good cleats. Traction is really good. And I want to point out that these foot pegs fit the DRZ perfectly. The level on the top surface is the same as the stock pegs. And I bring that up because there's a lot of pegs on the marketplace that look similar to this that have an incorrect angle. Trust me on that. These pegs fit the DRZ perfectly. To keep my hands comfortable, I've got to have heated grips. It's amazing when you're riding these adventure bikes, the swing in temperatures that you run into. And it's so nice to be able to flip on heated grips when the temperature cools off. It just makes the ride so much more comfortable. And right next to my grips, I've got my double take mirrors. The stock mirrors are going to drive you nuts. Anytime you hit brush or anything, they start twisting and they just drive you crazy. These double take mirrors are great because you can fold them out of the way really easy. And if you do hit a branch or something, they're easy to just grab and put back in place. So I really love the double take mirrors. Moving forward, I have my Thumper Jockey Crusader lights. It happens probably way too often that we're rolling into camp in the dark, but we do a lot of riding at night. So having a good auxiliary light is a must-have. These things are super bright and I think they look cool. These come with clamps or mounts that hook to the fork of the motorcycle. They didn't work on this bike because of the tank, so I simply mounted them to my handguard. The mounting is really versatile. You can do all sorts of things with them. So I think they look really cool here. Along with lighting, I also put in a Tusk LED bulb, which is way brighter than the stock one. So between my bulb there, my Thumper Jockeys, I can see awesome at night. It makes night riding a lot of fun. Next, I want to talk about the dash panel. This is something that we've designed and we build, again, in our facility in Utah. This dash gives you a place for a 12-volt power outlet and a place for 3 switches. So I run my heated grips from here. I could run my auxiliary lights from here as well, but I have a handlebar switch for that. But this thing is really nice because it just gives you a place to put all those things. And the nice thing about it is it works with your stock or aftermarket 7/8 inch handlebars, and it also works with fat bars. So if you have the big bar adapter clamps, this dash is still going to work for you. And finally, I have my Garmin Zumo GPS unit. This thing's really nice. The display is really easy to see, easy to run even with my gloves. it's just a great unit. I build my maps, dump it in here, and it makes navigating really easy. All right, I'm excited to talk about my luggage setup. There's a lot of different options when it comes to luggage. My last build, I did it a little bit different. This time I'm actually running the rackless setup. I had pannier racks before, but I'm running rackless this time, and I really like these things. But to start, I'm gonna say you gotta have a rear rack. So I've got a rear rack on here. You've gotta have that just for the rackless stuff to hook up. I know that sounds funny, rear rack, rackless luggage, but gotta have the rear rack. Now I'm running the Tusk Excursion rackless bags right now. These are a little bit smaller than the Highland, and I usually switch between the two. I have both sets. This summer I've been using the Excursion a lot. They're smaller. I'm usually not packing a lot of clothes in the summer, so I'm trying to pack as light as I can with these, and they're really nice. In the wintertime, when it cools off and I'm carrying more layers and things like that, I'll throw the Highland on. Now, along with these Excursion bags, I have the large water bottle holders. These are awesome. They hold our big 36-ounce water bottles in there, insulated water bottles. And then on top, I'm running the medium dry duffel bag. I really love this bag. It's got a magnetic top. It's got an air release valve. And when you roll these things up, they are just waterproof. So I keep all my camping gear in here. So I have my tent, my sleeping bag, my pad, pillow. I will sometimes throw a mid-layer in there, mid-layer jacket, but all my camping stuff's right here. And on the back of it, I've hooked up the quick draw bag. This is just a really nice bag to have quick access to stuff. So I keep a few tools in here that are common. You know, if I need to adjust a lever or tighten a bolt somewhere, I'll probably have the tool in here. And I also keep a first aid kit in here. And the Tusk first aid kit actually fits perfectly in here. And this bag mounts really slick. You can pretty much mount it to any luggage, any system. It's got MOLLE on the back, so it fits right onto the MOLLE on the Highland bag. And I just run the MOLLE sticks and run my straps through it, so it'll work on anything. And one more thing to point out, my straps, I'm using rock straps. I really love these things. You just hook them up. It's got an elastic in it, pull it tight. It's not gonna go anywhere. So it's just nice to have quick access to stuff. TP and toiletries, also a good idea to have back here. And finally, I have my tank bag. So I'm running the small Olympus tank bag. Really nice tank bag. It's comfortable when riding. It doesn't get in the way too much. Holds everything I need. One thing that's really nice about this bag is when you stop from a ride, you're always pulling off your sunglasses, pulling off your gloves. It's got a place for that. You stuff your gloves under here. It's got a little tab on the side to hold your sunglasses, so you're not losing stuff when you stop. It's got a port for wires to go in to keep your phone charged. It's got a lot of different pockets, elastic holders to hold your cords, keep everything organized. Tank bag is just so important because you're in and out of it all the time. So great place to have quick access to stuff. That pretty much wraps up my luggage setup. A few things that I didn't mention. The fender eliminator on the back. This is really nice because it eliminates all that stock, big, bulky tail light stuff and the big blinkers. So I have small little mini stock blinkers, fender eliminator. I also have a kickstand pad on here. So when you're stopping, setting the bike up in the dirt, your kickstand's not going to sink in the sand or mud or whatever. That's really nice. And I didn't mention, but with my skid plate, I threw in some skid plate foam on the front. Just, you know, if I get in muddy conditions, I'm not going to, you know, pile up mud in my skid plate. One more thing I want to point out is the fork boots. My stock ones that were on here were pretty dried up, crusty, cracking, so I threw on these from Polysport. Now I want to point out that the stock ones mount all the way down here. They're a lot longer. The Polysport are shorter, so they're going to mount up higher on the fork leg, closer to where the fork seal is. We have both options available on our website, but the Polysport are much cheaper than the OEM, and I think they look great. But that's pretty much it for my bike build. Again, the DRZ400 is a great little dual sport and adventure bike. I have a lot of fun riding this thing. Hopefully this video gives you guys some ideas. Everything I've talked about in this video is there'll be a link down in the description. You can check those items out. If you guys want to leave me any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comments section. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.